I think it's fair to say that, like, in a reductive sense, you could use the term culture shock to describe just how, like, different a lot of the, like, sensibilities and the way certain ideas are approached are compared to, like, you know, the English-speaking, like, quote-unquote Western world. But at the same time, I would also personally describe it as refreshing. Wanna be a wannabe? Like and subscribe. Zuwie, hey Zuwie, come with me, we'll go and see a show called Wake Up Carlos.
Carlos? No. It's Carlo. Carlo. Gus, it's Wake Up Carlo! If you watch the show, you'll get it.
Yes, and you should watch this show. All of you should watch this show, Wake Up Carlo, or in its original Brazilian Portuguese title, Acorda Carlo, on Netflix. It's an amazing cartoon, really wacky. It's episodic plots, but also they, like, you know, work into a big serialized narrative that is surprisingly avant-garde as much as it does have lore and themes that it's driving at.
Yes, when I see wacky, if something wacky will come up on this channel, I will appear because it is so bizarre. And I mean that when I call things bizarre and odd, when I say how odd, I mean it as a compliment. So this show, if you like wacky, odd, nuts things, this show is the show for you. And I'm excited to discuss, Gus. That rhymed.
Oh, I see. So you're the king of whimsy now, Zuwie.
Yeah, what do you mean I am now? I always was the king of whimsy. You dare threaten me?
That's true, yeah. Okay. If we're giving titles to the various members of the Wanna crew, like, you would be crowned Lord of Misrule if this was like a medieval town.
Oh, that's so fun. I will gladly take that. Thank you.
So what drew me to this show initially was just that the visuals reminded me so much of some of the more bizarre shows that I grew up on. The Misadventures of Flapjack being the chief one, with the design of the main character and just his, like, manic, adventurous gremlin energy that made me want to, like, just pick up the show regardless of what kind of world he was going to inhabit and what, like, you know, he was going to do in it. And for both of those things, I would say my expectations were completely subverted.
Yeah. This show is like, it is definitely, it has hints of, like, if you look at it for the first time, with the random nature that this show has, it has a very, and I mean this is a compliment, it has very breakneck humor. Things will happen, something else will happen, something else will happen, and something else will happen. And I think it's fun because I love, like, shows that have, like, a big overarching plot, you know, that follow, like, a, you know, like shows like Over the Garden Wall or Gravity Falls, or I didn't watch this, but Star vs. Steven Universe, etc., etc. But I think this show is fun in the sense that it is just nuts, but it does also have a little bit of overarching plot to it, which is interesting. It's like a mix. It's a mix between crazy nutty and then a little bit of a storyline going through the entire thing for season, which hopefully, I think you said they confirmed a season 2 perhaps, but it's Netflix, so we don't know.
We can't know, we'll never know. Netflix is a mystery, much like the deeper inner lore of Wake Up Carlo, which features a memory-devouring abyss, living memories, and so much more. So Zuwie, like, for this video, this was your first time watching through the show.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I have seen this show 3 times all the way through. On, like, the subsequent watchings, a lot of those rapid-fire jokes, you start to, like, pick out, like, visual gags and, like, moments of dialogue that you missed the first time through because of the breakneck pacing. It's one of those kind of like early Simpsons where, like, the jokes are so compounding on each other that sometimes you'll, like, go back and watch a scene and you'll find an underrated bit that you didn't notice before, and it will completely, like, that will become your favorite moment in that sequence.
No, absolutely. You're completely right. And speaking of visual bits, the visuals in this show are fantastic. I have to get this out there. This show, if you liked mixed media or are just a fan of, like, you know, the Flapjack or the SpongeBob, like, overly painted style cutaway gags, or more especially, every episode starts out with a different short little intro in a different animation style. They have a lot of characters that seem like they have like real world pictures that show up. They have this really beautiful title let me tell you, these title cards.
The painterly title cards.
Oh my god, these title cards. I want to eat them. I want to eat them like Carlo wants guavitos. Oh my god. Oh no, I can't swear. I don't think I can swear. Bleep me.
No. We're well into this, but I'll find a subsequent bleep or whatever if it's needed.
A confetti noise.
But yeah, the title cards are like each like beautifully designed, and again, yeah, like you said, they have that like very like SpongeBob like gross up close up painterly style to them that is so pleasing to the eyes. Like, so much of this show is just so well animated. Like, the way the characters move, the way they interact with the world is absolutely beautiful. And the characters themselves, I think, are just so funny. From Carlo, who, like, if you've even seen the Netflix trailer for this show, sets off a car alarm and then starts doing this, like, elaborate interpretive dance to the various sounds that it's making.
I was gonna bring that up.
So well animated.
It is. That's episode 1. I was blown away. I mean, you can tell that, like, obviously, like, I'm not in the room of, like, the people working, but it seems like at least there's a lot of fun to be had with the animation and the different, like, styles that everybody's allowed to kind of throw into this thing. I mean, it is very visually fun and interesting and bright and colorful, and it does not get old. I mean, you will be treated, it is a visual treat, literally, in every sense of the word. It is very fun.
And I think that's the thing, is that the characters, like, move and act the way that you would expect their designs to. Because, like, you know, Carlo's got that very energetic moving around, and the main thing about Carlo is that he is like the only child in this world, because like 2 decades have passed since his childhood, but Rip Van Winkle style, he went to sleep, the rest of the world moved on, everybody's adults, including like some old people who were like baby old people in the past, but then just grew into old people, which I think is really interesting. But besides him, you've got Berto, who is his childhood best friend, who was like a grass monster. Think like sort of a McDonald's mascot, like Fry Kid, but like grown up, wears like, fine clothing now because he's trying to do the whole adult thing. And as a result, even though he's a very imposing character, a lot of his movements are nervous. His big eyes and big teeth are always sort of like, clenched, and he's like, always looking around. He's a very nervous character.
Yes.
And then you have like Tatiana. She's almost the Captain Knuckles to Berto's Bubby, if we're making Flapjack comparisons. Mm-hmm. And she's got this, like, sloped brow where it's just very, like, furrowed at all time underneath her, like, purple beanie. She just constantly looks, like, mean and, like, put off and cantankerous. And her personality kind of reads that way, too, most of the time.
And speaking of characters, now that Carlo has slept for 20 years, we can talk about my favorite character, King Blouse. My favorite character.
Oh my god.
I love this guy.
I knew when I recommended you this show that you would enjoy King Blouse as much as I do. This dude, I think like Carlo and Berto and Tatiana, they go on some great adventures. They have great chemistry. But were it not for King Blouse, I think like this would be a very different show for me. He makes this show, I think.
Oh my god, he really does. Him and Petucho, his little Chihuahua sidekick, who I love Petucho. Listen, the vocal performances, I listened to both because I started watching the show in the original Brazilian Portuguese, and the voice actors are fantastic. And then I also watched it in the English dub, and the voice actors are also fantastic. And King Blouse literally is my favorite performance in like both. I love this guy. He's the antagonist. He does not like Carlo coming in and shaking things up and kind of stealing his thunder. He's a little self-centered elephant who is just completely nuts, and I love him dearly, and he just is always doing something elaborate and scheming and being evil and stupid. And if you like ridiculous villains, you will absolutely absolutely love King Blouse. Please, please watch this show, if not for anything else, for King Blouse.
I think the amazing thing about King Blouse is that in the way that like a lot of antagonists in shows that like need the heroes to sort of be at a status quo and interact with situations the same way, Blouse, I think, undergoes the most change because there's the most layers of complexity to him. He doesn't finish his projects for some reason. He has this whole mindset about, like, you know, forgetting the past and moving towards, like, the future. He has a lot of influencer coding in the way that he's portrayed, but unlike a lot of examples of that character in animation, his response to criticism of him is very, like, interesting and layered.
No, he is a fun character, and I know, like, a lot of people, including myself, are like kind of tired of that influencer character. I think he's really funny. I think it's like watching a character like that, at least, I mean, my subjective opinion about like influencer characters is that sometimes it will date like media, you know, especially with like cell phones and like streaming and blah, 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 whatever. But I think he's really fun. I really do think he is, just because his attitude and the way that he films himself. There is a bit, I think this is in the later part of the first season, where they're like surfboarding and crazy things are happening when are they not in the show. And he goes, "If you like revenge, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe." And it made me laugh. I'm like, this is the first time like a stupid influencer thing is really making me laugh. There's something so charming. There is something so charming about his confidence and also needing validation from people at all times.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting too, because like the entire world around King Blouse is sort of like almost of his making, because one of the odd bits of lore in this is that during like the Rip Van Winkle time period where Carlo was missing, King Blouse just sort of crashed down onto the island from the outer space that surrounds the island of Fun for no reason. Through, I guess, his own ambitions and just his desire to like fit in, he slowly became like the most popular and powerful person on the island. And so even the people who don't like him, it's kind of like a rent-free thing. Like there's like a punk radio station, a punk funk radio station, the P-Funk radio station. All of their songs and all of their like, you know, anti-authoritarian music is about how like King Blouse himself stinks. There's this episode in this like, you know, introduction to this like, you know, P-Funk radio station where Carlo's crew like shows up and they start making music too. And what's interesting is that like when Blouse like hears songs that are criticizing him, he's like, you know, that's like either weak criticism or like I like that they're like, you know, ooh, I feast on their tears, like they're really obsessed with me. But then towards the end of the episode, Berto sings like a real from the heart song about his shower being ruined, and we cut to like King Blouse like taking a shower, and King Blouse is like, I understand this song. This hurts. And he's crying because he's like, he relates to it on like a human level. Like it's like beyond the superficiality that he's kind of like, he's almost created this world where like he's the one topic of discussion. But then like there are these moments where like Carlo's just unflappable effect on people where they like suddenly remember like, no, it's okay to have fun for no reason and you just can live your life authentically without people's validation. And that like gets through to him piece by piece by getting through to like the society that King Blouse has created. I will say one thing is that some of the songs from this sound a lot more natural in like the Portuguese version, but the English dub, like they're still really like fun, charming pieces of music. But it's clear that there's like, you know, a bit of a disconnect when there's when they were like, you know, having to fit some of these lyrics onto the lip flaps.
It is hard to localize a show for different audiences in different cultures in different places, especially a show like Wake Up Carlo, where there's so much fucking happening. There's a lot happening. So, and this is not a critique or like a criticism or like anything like evil or mean, what I'm trying to say here. But I do think that potentially, because there is so much going on, I think within the translation, at least to English, I can't say for other languages that are offered on Netflix for this show, but at least to English, there possibly is some things that were lost in translation, like maybe jokes that, you know, land better in the original language just because English doesn't have like the same words. You know what I mean? I mean, that's common sense when you're watching a show from a place that is not made in a place where you grew up or speak the language of. I need to say this. I need to. I don't even care if this is shoehorned in here, but I need to say this joke because it made me laugh aloud as I was watching this yesterday. There's a bit with Petruccio and King Blouse where Petruccio goes, I need to tell you something. I need to tell you something, King Blouse. And King Blouse is like, what? And he goes, I have to be honest about something too. Today I was a whole 5 minutes late, sir. I was 5 minutes late. And King Blouse goes, oh, 5 minutes? Oh, pff. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. Take him away! Take him away! And it's so funny.
Put him in the dungeon!
Put him in the dungeon! It is I really enjoy that kind of goofy, like quick, snappy humor. I mean, again, this show is a show where a guy, King Blouse, I promise I will talk about other things than this guy, but I love him so much. This is a show where he's shot down to the planet in a fiery meteorite. And that is his birth. So if that doesn't sound like something that you would enjoy, the humor might be a little too outlandish, but I thought it was funny. I thought it was cute, and I enjoyed it. It was very silly and very fun.
There is also this incredible moment that, like, again, like Carlo and Berto and Tatiana, they're always going on these like sort of like very like contained adventures that they do lead into each other, but there's this one, and it's like the surfing episode where King Blouse like has like he goes undercover, and that's where he does the smash the like button gag, but he goes undercover to try and like become best friends with Carlo, and he ends up like having like his like the worst day ever, like just like a terrible like, you know, situation where like his own people almost arrest him. And when he gets back to, like, his palace, he goes, like, so, counselors, I've realized that deep down I'm evil, and I have terrible thoughts. And it's like, he's been the antagonist the whole time, but it's really funny to see this character, like, kind of, like, be like, all right, maybe I am the heel. Maybe I don't like people. Maybe I like doing harm.
Yeah, this video should be retitled to King Blouse. We love him. We love King Blouse because if we were in the universe, Gus, if we were in our universe, we would be just the same as everyone else, being like, we love you, King Blouse. I would be Petruccio. I would get rid of Petruccio. I'm the new Petruccio.
I could see that. Like Petruccio is such a funny character because it's that like archetype of like the sort of hyper competent lieutenant who is held back only by like their loyalty to a complete buffoon, similar to like Commander Peepers in Wander Over Yonder.
Yeah. You're right. And if you guys want a little special treat that made me lose my shit, in episode 5 at around the 16-minute 14-second mark, I don't know if it's in the original language, but it is in the English dub. You will see a zoomed in Petruccio and you will hear the FNAF sound effect.
Yeah, is it? Right, Petruccio?
Is it the FNAF sound effect? The FNAF vent sound effect?
Yeah! It's wild!
It is so wild. I did a double take. I had to rewind because I thought I imagined it. I'm like, is that real? It is definitely real. So again, that is the show that you will be going into if you watch this.
It's so funny because like we were talking about this a little bit off mic, and we've been talking about like moments of the show as like you've been watching through it, but like more and more I'm realizing this is something that people need to kind of experience blind. Like, if anything we've said at this point has like convinced you that like Wake Up Carlo is something that you're even like, if you love like, you know, super like stylistic animation, if you love just like wacky worlds, if you want a taste of something that is like from outside the sort of like North American sphere of entertainment that kind of like, you know, follows a certain norm, Wake Up Carlo is the way to go. And like some of my favorite bits in the show would be impossible to like state without context. I'm probably going to talk about a lot of them with Zuwie off mic after we stop recording this video.
Yeah, no, for real.
But yeah, the other thing about this show is that, like, while it will, like, you know, make you laugh and confuse you and baffle you, and you're gonna find a favorite character, and it's gonna be King Blouse.
So
I think it's fair to say that, like, in a reductive sense, you could use the term culture shock to describe just how, like, different a lot of the, like, sensibilities and the way certain ideas are approached are compared to, like, you know, the English-speaking, like, quote-unquote Western world. But at the same time, I would also personally describe it as refreshing. Because sometimes getting thrown into the deep end of, like, another culture's entertainment sensibilities is what you need to kind of broaden your understanding of, like, human beings on this, you know, strange globe that exists for no reason, where we're all trying to have fun.
we're all on the island of fun for no reason.
Depending on who you are and your level of anxiety, this is a show that you either, like, it will become your favorite show if you're on edibles, or it will, like, destroy you forever.
I was about to say this would be one hell of a show to eat a little block of edible chocolate to. I swear to God, this would.
Yeah, I think that, like, it might kill me. I've not had the best track record with that stuff. I think the show that from Netflix that, like, I had the best results with was The Midnight Gospel, which, like, was great while I was watching it, and I had some really good insights. But then the moment I turned it off, I'm like, okay. Now I'm in the bad place.
I'm in the bad place.
Again, it's one of those things where, like, we're coming at this from the heart. We wholeheartedly recommend it because regardless of, like, any of the obstacles and barriers, you know, its original language, the, like, crazy off-the-wall nature of the plot, the incomprehensibility of some of the, like, visuals towards the end of it, this is something that is... I feel like we were rewarded handsomely for choosing to watch this, and I think it's definitely worth your time if you're any kind of animation fan.
No, absolutely. I don't see a lot of people talking about this show much at all. I mean, I saw maybe like a handful of Reddit threads and a Wake Up Carlo, like maybe perhaps a fandom wiki, but I'm not sure. I feel like everything has a fandom wiki, so if I'm wrong about that, don't come for me. But like, I feel like it probably has one, but you can't, like, there's no like episode like descriptions or like it just has like the title of the episode and really not much is delved into on any Wikipedia about it. So I feel like it is definitely something to look into and give it a watch if you're interested in seeing wacky, weird, interesting, visually treatful, and the music too is really good. In the first episode, there's like a conveyor belt scene, and the song goes freaking hard. Please check this show out.
This is, like, the moment-to-moment experience of this show is something that, in my estimation, you will not regret. You'll have a great time. Hopefully this video gets out there and gets more eyes on this thing. Maybe someone else will make a more in-depth video analyzing its themes from the Brazilian perspective.
No, absolutely.
Like, what is Brazilian Hatsune Miku doing right now? She should hop on, like, explaining this to, like, you know, us filthy northerners.
Yeah. We love you, Hatsune Miku.
We love you, Hatsune Miku. If you're out there, please comment on this video. Smash that like button. Become one of our Blousepers, please. Please, Hatsune Miku.
Please, wake up, Hatsune. Wake up, Hatsune Miku.